Sides of the aisle. Capri Cafaro is a Democratic member of the Ohio State Senate. Kristin Tate is a contributor at The Hill newspaper, also the author of the book, Government Gone Wild. Kristin, are you disappointed in what you're hearing from the president-elect?
A little bit, but not too much. Look, Trump is a deal maker, and I suspect that a lot of this toned-down rhetoric is an effort to bring his opponents into the fold. You know, Trump is not a king. He can't take a lot of actions alone. He's got to work with other people. And as a results and action-oriented guy, I think he understands that. We've also got to keep in mind that the country is very divided right now, and Trump is no longer a candidate. He's the president-elect. So a lot of what he's doing is probably an effort to unite the country and not infuriate his opponents more than they already are.
Are you surprised, Capri, at some of the positions he's taking?
I'm not surprised. I mean, Donald Trump, throughout the entire process of the campaign, obviously said a lot of very strong things, like build the wall or lock her up. But that was very much a campaign. Donald Trump is not an ideologue. He is a pragmatist. And, the fact that he is being pragmatic about the fact that, as we just said, he is president-elect of the United States. He's going to have to find a way to govern. And I think that he is moderating some of his stances because he is recognizing that some of them may not actually be able to be implemented as easily as maybe candidate Trump thought.
Well, I don't think we should make any mistake. I think he will be a man of action, and he has to prioritize. The slogan of his campaign was "Make America Great Again," and we're going to do that by focusing on terrorism, on jobs, on the border. As much as I and his other supporters would love to see Hillary Clinton being held accountable, locking Hillary up is not going to really go towards making America great again. So he's got to think about what he should spend his time doing. And right now that's focusing on the issues and stacking his cabinet.
Well, and it's also true that Americans want to see things get done.
That's right.
And under the present polarized atmosphere in Washington, there's not a whole lot getting done.
No, and we haven't seen any action really for years, which frankly I think is the main contributing factor to current President Obama's, overutilization of executive orders. So it'll be interesting to see now what happens, come January 21st when we have a fully controlled Republican federal government, and how much action they actually do take, and how much then President Trump will utilize executive orders to do some of the things that he may want to do that maybe particularly members of the United States Senate might not share his views on.
But when this president comes into office, he's going to get leery looks from both sides of the aisle. I mean, there are a lot of Republicans who do not necessarily trust him just as much as Democrats.
Well, that might be a good thing. Trump is going to be held accountable. This might be one of the most hated men in America. He's really loved by his supporters, but the media sure doesn't like him, and that could be a good thing because it will hold him accountable. He will deliver on a lot of his promises, I think, and again, this is all about action. The one thing I will say as a Trump supporter, I was a bit disappointed his announcement about Hillary Clinton. If the DOJ thinks there's something to investigate there, they ought to be allowed to do that.
Well, and he can't do something unilaterally anyway. I mean, it's not really up to him. I mean, if the law enforcement officials ultimately do come to a conclusion, for example, with the Clinton Foundation, it's going to be incumbent upon them to take action. But Donald Trump himself is not going to be the person that's going to have to drive that train. He's the president, not the attorney general.
Right. Yeah, I think this is all about narrative, about bringing the country together. But the reason a lot of his supporters are a little bit disappointed right now is because nobody should be above the law, including Hillary Clinton. Justice should be blind. Justice doesn't know your last name. It doesn't know if you ran for president. And I don't think he should have completely closed the door on the whole Hillary investigation.
But it is, the country sort of wants to be in the middle, somewhere between, Democratic liberalism and Republican conservatism. The country kind of wants that middle road, doesn't it?
Sure. I think more than anything else, I think that the American people wanted constructive dialogue between Democrats and Republicans, between East Coast, West Coast, and the Midwest. This is the time that we need to be able to come together because it's been so divisive over the last, year to 18 months through the 2016 presidential election. People want to see a government of action, and I think they want to have substantive policy discussions, not some kind of a witch hunt trial that might be going on, for example, through congressional hearings on Hillary Clinton.
Ohio went for Donald Trump.
Indeed, by 11 points.
All right, Capri Cafaro, Kristin Tate. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Get